Preventing traumatic injuries in the classroom is not something anyone wants to think about, but it is critical to be prepared. So today, a local hospital is partnering with Edison Middle School in Meriden to help prepare the community for worst-case scenarios. That's where we find Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Marcy Jones. Marcy, good morning. How did this partnership come about?
Good morning, Kate. Well, unfortunately, it came out of a very horrific situation. Of course, we're talking about the mass shooting at Sandy Hook, and we're just coming up on year 11, reflecting back on this tragedy. And really, the goal is to better prepare everybody inside of the school for emergency situations. Now, today, 60 administrators and teachers will learn life-saving lessons from the experts from the Hospital of Central Connecticut's Trauma Injury Prevention Program. The lessons will include how to properly fasten a tourniquet, as well as other life-saving measures. The program is recommended by the American College of Surgeons and is becoming more popular at schools around the country. Today in Washington, also federal lawmakers will be meeting with survivors of gun violence to talk about that. Today, the lessons here at Edison Middle School will happen at 2 p.m. Reporting live in Meriden, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.